In this gripping chapter of history and myth, Flames of the Forgotten recounted the epic clash between two empires, Babylon and Persia. The mighty city of Babylon, once believed to be impenetrable, had faced its greatest threat yet from the relentless forces of Cyrus the Great. While General Nabonidus and his commanders fought with unwavering courage to protect their homeland, the Persians devised a brilliant strategy that turned the city's lifeline, the Euphrates River, into a deadly vulnerability. As chaos consumed the city, a mysterious young warrior named Ira emerged from the shadows. He had fought like no man before, wielding a blade infused with supernatural frost, bringing death and terror to the Persian ranks. His presence shifted the tide of war, forcing even Cyrus to retreat. This video followed Ira's rise as Babylon's unlikely savior, born from tragedy, fueled by vengeance, and burdened by a power that froze everything it touched. Though he led his people to victory, Ira struggled with the cold force within him, unsure whether it was a gift or a curse. Flames of the Forgotten was not only a tale of conquest and resistance, but a haunting story of sacrifice, destiny, and the chilling cost of power. The winds whispered over the grasslands, untouched by war, memory, or gods. A world of peace, and in it, a boy who was never meant to be just a boy. Ira, 18, woke as golden light spilled across his stone cottage. He stretched, dressed, and walked into the crisp morning air. His mother hummed, his father tended sheep. Night, his black horse, waited in the corral. To Ira, life was simple, real. The rhythm of hooves, the whisper of grass, the warmth of the sun, these were his truths. Ira rode across the meadow. His laughter was soft. He talked to night as they checked the boundaries. The sun hung high. All was well. But peace was only a curtain, and Ira's life an illusion. A breeze shifted. The light dimmed. Ira paused, uneasy. Night snorted and turned his head. A shadow fell across the plain, almost imperceptible. Something called him. Not a sound, not a voice, a pull. The forest loomed ahead, twisted and still. Ira dismounted. Night hesitated. Ira led him inside, branches brushing his shoulders. Silence swallowed them. In the center of that silence, something waited. A clearing appeared. A glowing sword was embedded in the earth. Ice blue light pulsed faintly. Ira approached, hand trembling. He gripped the hilt. The sword burned and froze at once. His body seized, memories flashed, fire and ice, stars colliding. A name, Ira. The truth did not come all at once, just pieces, just pain. The forest faded as the blade was drawn. Frost danced around Ira and Night. A heartbeat thrummed in the hilt. Power flowed but slipped away. The sword dimmed. Night was no horse. He was bound to Ira, as the blade was. Not servant, twin. Night stepped forward. Frost spread beneath his hooves. His breath misted black. Ira met his eyes. Understanding flickered. They were one. The world had changed, or perhaps it never was what he thought. Ira returned. His father smiled. His mother cooked. The sword hung at Ira's side, wrapped in cloth. He said little. His gaze lingered on the forest. He tried to sleep, but the flame had been stirred. The ice had cracked. Ira lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The sword rested beside him. He touched the hilt. Cold, familiar, unyielding. He was not shepherd, not God, not man. Ira closed his eyes, a breath, a whisper in the wind.
You are my son, born of fire and ice. Learn balance.
And the cosmos waited. The air over Babylon was thick with the stench of war. Smoke choked the sky, casting the sun in blood-red light. The mighty city stood beleaguered, its defenses straining under the relentless pressure of Persia's siege. General Nabonidus, hardened by decades of battle, stood beneath the towering ziggurat, gazing over his ancient city.
They've brought a storm to our gates. One even Babylon's walls may not endure, but they'll find more than stone here. They'll find our will.
A darkened chamber, maps and torches. The weight of coming battle hung heavy in the air.
We must hold the line. Babylon has stood 1,000 years. It will stand 1,000 more.
The gates are fortified, the river currents fierce. Let the Persians try. They'll drown in our canals before they breach our walls.
Good, let them come. We'll show them the might of Babylon.
Beyond the city, the Persian army stretched across the horizon. Tents, firelight, and steel under the banner of Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great stood at the center, his gaze fixed on Babylon's distant silhouette.
Babylon, proud and blind, they lean on their past. But history doesn't win wars. Strategy does.
Their walls are mighty, but our resolve and your command will bring them down.
The Euphrates flows through their heart. Divert the river, and we open a door beneath their walls.
Divert the river. Breach the city from below. Yes, prepare the dams. Ready the men. Babylon will fall.
The city grew still. Torches flickered. Eyes watched from the ramparts. Breaths held in fearful silence. Another war council. Oil lamps flickered. Shadows danced across anxious faces.
They know brute force won't work. They'll try to outthink us. We must be vigilant.
The river, if they alter its flow, it could be our undoing.
Then the gates and dams must be secured. If they lower the water line, they'll find their way in.
We must prepare for a breach from within. The people will fight if they must.
Then we stand ready. Babylon will not fall easily, but fall it may, unless we fight with everything we have.
The night held its breath. The people prayed, the soldiers waited, and then from the shadows before dawn, the attack came. A low rumble broke the night's silence. The ground trembled. Then the unthinkable, the Euphrates began to recede. Panic swept through the Babylonian ranks. The Persians had diverted the river. The once protective waters now revealed a path into the city.
They've come through the river. It's begun. To arms. They're inside.
Babylon's defenders rushed to meet the invaders. Steel met steel in the dawnlight. Blood ran in the streets, once filled with life. Nabonidus led from the front. Belshazzar and Ashur-nasir fought at his side. The fate of Babylon hung in every swing of the sword.
We are the wall now. If we fall, Babylon falls. Hold the line.
The Persians, relentless and precise, poured into the city. Among them, Cyrus himself, his sword a beacon of destruction. Through the chaos, Nabonidus saw him, Cyrus, a chance, a target. He charged. But before Nabonidus could reach Cyrus, Harpagus stepped in, scarred, silent, deadly.
Out of my way, Persian dog.
Their swords clashed in a brutal, even match. But Harpagus was faster. He disarmed Nabonidus, the blade clattering to the stone. A cry, a blur. Belshazzar lunged in, his strike pushing Harpagus off balance. Nabonidus seized the moment, drove his blade through Harpagus's chest. The Persian general fell, eyes wide with fading defiance. Cyrus vanished into the crowd of his own men. The tide was turning. Nabonidus called the only order left.
Fall back. Regroup at the inner city gate. Then fight for every stone.
The streets ran red. Smoke filled the sky. What remained of Babylon's defenders gathered one last time.
This is our home. We fight here, not for victory, but for honor.
The sun dipped low, casting a crimson light on the city's ruins. The Persians advanced once more, siege engines leading the way. Cyrus led the final assault. His men roared, scaling walls that had never fallen until now. The last of the defenses broke. The walls crumbled. The Babylonians fought on, but hope was gone.
They'll write that Babylon fell, but let them also write that we never knelt.
Nabonidus stood amid fire and ruin, his sword heavy with blood. The end had come, but he still stood, for now. The wind howled across the desolate steppe. The grasses bent low, the sky brooding with gray. Nabonidus fled, haunted by the fall of Babylon. Behind him, the thunder of Persian herds grew louder.
I've lost my city, my men, and now they hunt us like animals. There's no sanctuary left, only the end.
Persian cavalry closed in, armor glinting in the dying light. Nabonidus urged his exhausted horse onward, eyes to the silent sky, begging for a sign, and then ahead, alone grass, riding straight for the enemy. The rider screamed into battle, a wild, awkward strike, and Persian soldiers fell as if cleaved by gods. Blood painted the step. The charge of one against many had begun. He cut through them, young, untrained, but unstoppable. Arrows flew, some struck, blood poured, but he fought on. Then, too many. He staggered, he fell, and was trampled beneath hooves.
He was our last mark! And now, it's gone!
From the dust, smoke rose. The plain trembled. A scream pierced the chaos. The figure stood, reborn, wounds vanished, eyes ablaze. His sword now danced with deadly precision. The earth shook with each hoofbeat. The sword flashed, a whirlwind of death. After his rebirth, his strikes grew faster, more refined, each movement precise, deadly. Thousands fell before the blade. Persian soldiers screamed. They ran, they died. No one escaped. The field became a grave. The wind quieted. The bodies lay still. The horse, black and glowing, snorted beside its rider. Nabonidus approached, trembling, awe in his bones.
What is your name?
I am Ira, a citizen of Babylon.
Not a man, not anymore, but Babylon's fury, forged in fire.
Blood on his hands, serenity in his eyes, Ira stood like a storm just past.
You fight with strength no man possesses. What are you?
I am what Babylon made me. I rose in its ruin. I exist to fight.
The city burns, the people scatter. We have no army left.
Then we strike, now, while they reel from this defeat. Gather who you can. We fight.
The wind carried thunder. The storm neared. Nabonidus searched Ira's eyes and saw only resolve.
We will strike. We will bleed them for Babylon.
Then let them come. The spirit of Babylon still breathes.
As night fell, Nabonidus and Ira rode through scattered camps, seeking survivors. Most had lost hope, but Ira's voice, fierce and unwavering, reignited the fire in their hearts.
The fight is not over. Babylon still breathes in us. Stand with me, or let the Persians take all. Your choice.
Slowly they came, a ragged force, leaderless and broken, but willing. Under the moon's watch, Ira stood before them, his blade raised.
They believe us finished. Tonight, we prove them wrong. We strike where they sleep. Babylon is not dead.
They moved like phantoms, steel whispered. Hooves barely touched the earth. Campfires flickered in the distance, unaware of the vengeance that approached.
We hit the flanks. Hard, fast, no mercy.
Lead, and we follow.
Ira raised his sword. The cold fire within him stirred. With a cry, he charged. His men followed. A storm unleashed. The camp exploded into panic. Ira's sword carved a path through the startled soldiers. Behind him, Babylon roared back to life. Moonlight bathed the battlefield. Ira advanced, his sword now glowing with a ghostly frost. The air around him froze. His blade chilled bone, shattered steel. Persian soldiers screamed, frost rippling their lungs. Weapons cracked in frozen hands. The cold was unnatural, and Ira unstoppable. From the ridge, Tyrus watched. His eyes narrowed as frost overtook his camp.
This is no man, my lord. Winter rides with him.
He bleeds. He can fall. We stand firm.
Ira's blade glowed brighter. Frost spread from each strike. Armor shattered. Blood froze midair. The Persian ranks collapsed beneath his wrath. Terror spread. Persian courage cracked. The cold wasn't just in the air. It was in their hearts. Ira had become something more. With every swing, Ira felt the bump. The cold crept into him, his breath misted in ragged clouds. Power and pain became one.
This pain is mine. The cold is mine, but Babylon will rise.
The battle neared its end. Persian bodies littered the frost-hardened earth. Ira pressed on, blade gleaming, his horse a shadow of vengeance. Ira was no longer just a warrior. He was the will of a broken city, a force forged in loss, a a storm-bound in flesh. Cyrus the Great stood in silence as his army collapsed. Frost bit at the air. His generals looked on, stunned. The cold had claimed everything.
My lord, we cannot win this. We must retreat.
Retreat. The word burned in Cyrus's chest. But looking upon the frozen dead, he understood.
Order the retreat. Babylon is not worth annihilation.
Orders echoed. Soldiers fled. But Ira was not done. His sword flashed. Ice followed. Each strike turned ground to frost, men to corpses. The Persian retreat became a rout. The cold clung to them. Their strength faded. Fear consumed them. The escape turned to chaos. Persian soldiers froze mid-step, screaming, wailing, crying out as the frost overtook them. Ira hunted, merciless. Cyrus watched his empire crumble under frost and fury. With a heavy heart, he turned away. Babylon had bested him for now. Silence fell. The field was a frozen graveyard. Ira stood at its center, gasping, sword still in hand. Power waned, cold remained. Nabonidus stepped through the frost, breath catching in the bitter air. He looked upon the warrior who had saved Babylon.
You've done the impossible! You've saved us!
It's not over. They will return.
Ira let the sword drop. It sank into the frozen earth.
I'm no leader. I'm a weapon born of fire and ice and tempered by death.
No, you are hope, and Babylon needs you!
Dawn broke through the clouds. Light touched the frost. The night had passed, but Ira remained cold, the frost now part of him.
I'll lead if I must, but don't expect mercy. Only victory.
For now, that is enough!
The city celebrated. Ira did not. He walked through ruins, a shadow among joy. The people saw a savior. He felt nothing. Nabonidus named him a commander. Ira rebuilt the walls, trained the soldiers. He shaped them in his image, disciplined, unyielding, cold. He led them. The power that saved Babylon now devoured Ira. Frost crept into his soul. Memories faded. Warmth vanished. Ira became Babylon's shield and its scar. Victory had a cost, and that cost lived within him, growing colder by the day. He stood upon the ramparts, eyes on the storm rising in the distance. Cyrus would return. The cold within him burned brighter.
Let him come. I will be ready, even if nothing human remains.
The city rose from ruin, walls rebuilt, streets alive. But beneath the noise and warmth, a shadow lingered, one that even peace could not fully dispel. The frost had not left him, but it no longer relieved him. Within the cold, warmth stirred, not fire, but balance, peace, compassion. Through Babylon's streets, Ira walked. Once feared, now watched with wary trust. The blade at his side, less a threat, more a symbol. An old woman bent by war and time. Ira brought bread, a blanket. She told stories. He listened. Her voice softened his silence. Children played, orphans of war. Ira taught them games, built them toys. Their laughter thawed parts of him untouched since battle's end. He trained alone. The sword no longer raged. Each strike was precise, each breath controlled. Cold, now his ally, measured and exact. The frost that once brought fear now shielded Babylon. The people no longer fled his shadow. They stepped into it, seeking protection. Ira stood alone again. Above him, clouds veiled the stars. Below, the black iron horse waited. And within, the whisper returned.
This is the Blaze Frost Celestial Sword, and this is the Black Iron Horse. These two weapons will help you on your path to justice.
Why me? Why this power? What path have I truly been set upon?
No answer, only wind, and the blades hum beneath his fingers. The horse shifted in the shadows, its eyes glowing dimly. Ira watched, doubts clinging to him like frost.
Am I protector, or weapon, or something far stranger?
He drew the blade, Moonlight danced on frost. It shone with elegance and danger, a thing of beauty, a thing of power. Where had it come from? Who had forged it? The runes on its edge whispered secrets he couldn't yet grasp. Below, the black iron horse stood still, not just a beast, but a vessel of the same cold fire, watching, waiting, connected.
If justice is the goal, why does the path feel so cold?
He sheathed the sword, turned from the wind, walked into the stone silence below. The horse followed, neither spoke. The whispers persisted. Justice, power, destiny, but none spoke of why, only what must be done. Ira stood where stone met step, the sky cracked with gold, cold light on his face. The question's still there, but softer now.
I may never know why, but I will wield what I've been given. For them, for this city.
He walked back, sword at his side, the black iron horse behind him, the burden still heavy, but accepted. Not just blade, not just frost. Ira had become balance, fire and ice, mercy and wrath, protector and storm. The palace stood tall, its mosaic shimmering, its incense-thick air humming with stories of gods and kings. A symbol of resilience, of Babylon restored. Summoned by Nabonidus, Ira moved through the echoing halls, curiosity warred with unease. This summons felt different, personal. The doors parted. Inside, Nabonidus stood beside a gilded throne, and beside him she sat. A vision of autumn light, her gown the color of falling leaves, hair like woven dusk, amber eyes that held the world and turned from it. Beauty wrapped in distance. Ira's breath caught, not from love, but from something deeper. She was untouched, unreachable, her beauty, cold. And yet Ira was stunned by her beauty, his heart pounded wildly. She was his first love, and he knew even then she would be his only.
Ira, you've saved Babylon! But today I ask you, not as a king, but as a father!
Nabonidus placed his hand on Ira's shoulder, pride in his voice, hope in his eyes.
My daughter needs someone like you! Strong, steady! She's slipping away from this world!
Your Majesty, I am honored. But love, true love, cannot be summoned by duty. It must be chosen.
Speak with her! That is all I ask!
Among jasmine and stone under a starlit sky, Ira waited. She came, silent, graceful. Light touched her like reverence.
Your father hopes we might wed.
He hopes I might return to a world I have left.
Then what is it you seek?
Solitude, devotion, peace not found in crowns or vows, but in the silence of the temple.
He saw her clearly then, not just a woman of beauty, but of conviction.
I will not ask you to turn from your truth. I only wished to understand it.
You are kind, IRA, and I am grateful, but I walk a path apart.
May the gods walk with you, wherever that path leads.
The sun poured through high windows. Nabonidus sat in silence, the map before him forgotten.
What did she say?
That her heart lies with the gods, and her life belongs to no one else.
I had hoped perhaps you could bring her back to us.
She has found her own way, and she is not lost, just beyond your reach.
You are wise, Ira. Wiser than I. Thank you for your honesty and your grace.
He left the chamber, his heart heavy, not with rejection, but with understanding. The halls were quiet, the voice in his mind silent. The questions still lingered, but their weight had lifted. He had not found love, but he had found peace in honoring another's truth and in learning to let go. The fires in Persepolis flickered low. Shadows stretched long. The silence of defeat settled like dust on gold. Cyrus the Great sat unmoving. Once a name of fear, now bound in bitterness. Babylon had escaped him. He would not forget.
Half the world bows to me, but that cursed city stands. One man, one sword, no more.
Mazares, Gobrias, Arbaces, Megabesus, men of conquest, now men of silence before a furious king.
We should be celebrating. Instead, we nurse wounds like mongrels. Babylon defies me. Ira lives,
It was not walls that stopped us. It was Ira. He is no mere man.
Then we find something beyond men.
The room chilled. Mazaras whispered of legends older than empires, giants banished to the edge of the world.
They live still, forgotten, buried, hateful. They would destroy Babylon for gold, for rage.
They are chaos. They'll betray us.
Then we use them, like the sword uses the hand. And when we are done, we cut them loose.
Bring me these beasts. Offer them their blood price. But if they turn, slaughter them.
Under stars veiled by smoke, Mazaras rode north, into the forgotten, toward monsters long asleep. Snow turned to ash. Peaks clawed the sky. Days passed, then the earth opened, black, vast, alive with heat and breath. The world fell silent inside. Stone dripped, shadows moved, and then they emerged. He was the mountain-given flesh. Lava eyes, voice like thunder, leader of monsters.
You walk to your death, little man.
Gold, cities, the blood of those who cast you out. Join us.
The giants stirred, their eyes gleamed, the hunger returned, old oaths forgotten.
We fight for ourselves, not your king.
Fight for what you want. We merely share the battlefield.
Stone cracked, voices roared, a pact sealed, not in trust, but in promise. The storm now walked with men. Mazaras returned, the mountains behind him silent once more, but not for long.
They have agreed. They march with us.
Good then. Babylon will fall, and Ira will kneel.
They are beasts. What if they turn?
Then we turn on them. Until then, we march.
Chests of treasure moved through valleys. Gold gleamed. Greed was fed. The giants roared their approval.
You will walk the earth again as gods. Take what was once denied.
We march. But if you lie, your bones will feed the stone.
Steel met stone, men beside monsters. The Persian war machine moved once more, this time with giants in its ranks. Far to the west, Babylon slept, but the wind shifted. Ira would soon awaken to thunder, to stone, to war reborn. And beneath black banners, under blood-red skies, the ground trembled. The giants were coming, and with them, vengeance.